Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Monster Truck Outlaws of the West podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Phil Vichinanza, and once again, I am flying solo tonight. My other co-host, Vincent Ackert, unable to make it. Hope he's back here next week. A lot of tight schedules going on right now, but we're not slowing down. We're back here with another episode, and it's going to be a good one. So make sure everybody here tonight likes and shares this podcast video. Share it all across social media and get the word out here because tonight's guests are very special. We always like telling different stories here. We always like to say that. And we always like to say covering past and present and the future of West Coast Monster Trucks. And this team, I think, really defines the future, the way they're changing a lot of things and approaches. And they've done a lot of incredible things thus far. They're out of Denver, Colorado, and they really have a special purpose behind their team. They really stand out amongst the rest. Without further ado, I'm not going to stall any longer. Our guests tonight are Jeff Alire and Phil Wilson. They are the Veteran Truck. Gentlemen, welcome to the podcast. How are you tonight?
Great. Thanks. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. We are very excited to have you guys on board. I know we tried a couple weeks back, but we're happy to have you guys on board and really tell your guys' story. So we will get right into it. I prepared some questions here just to make sure we're on the right page here. I'll start off with our team owner, Phil. Phil, tell us your background. How did we get here?
Well, I think we'd have to start early on in growing up in a small town in Kansas, Lewisburg, right on the Missouri border. And, it wasn't long after high school that I decided I wanted to get out and go see the world. And that led me to the Navy, in which I did just that. Upon leaving the military, as is quite present today, there's a lack of, service members joining and things like that. And I think we decided that when we wanted to get the truck, initiated and get a truck bought, we knew that the Veteran was the right name and really stand behind the cause to bring awareness to the military overall.
Yeah, and it's such a interesting approach. I mean, by no means are you guys the first patriotic monster truck, and it obviously won't be the last. I hope there's a lot more. But what exactly is the Veteran? What makes the Veteran so different from any other team?
Well, I think our cause is genuine. Not to say that, like you said, that no one else is genuine, but I feel, at least in today's arena, there's a lot of people that are throwing causes behind their names and trying to represent themselves at some sort of awareness to hope to bring in additional fans. As the country song says, I was country before country was cool. We did this long before having a cause did anything other than just bring an awareness. And that's really our entire mission. I'm very proud to serve in the military, and it's really strong for me to have that, that need for the military to be important in everybody. And so the veteran for us, at least for me, was the mission to bring the veteran about and bring awareness. And nothing turns ahead like a monster truck. So what a great theme to place that on such a piece of machinery, and it does just that.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Why did you choose a monster truck as your platform? I know you said it, but was there any other mediums that you were trying to project, maybe not using a monster truck? How did you just settle on using a monster truck?
Yeah, great question. So, I've been into motorsports a lot. I really love it. I branch out. I collect, older muscle cars, collector cars. And early on, we started sponsoring what was at the time Littlefoot Motorsports. It's a tough truck series. And as we sponsored that, it would take us to mostly monster truck events. And it was just great to be at a monster truck event, just to see those. I remember those from my younger days, and it just brought back all those memories. And I looked at the time, which was our team leader at the time was Terry Kuehl, and I said, I got to get us a monster truck. And off he went looking for one. And when we found it, I knew that the right thing to do was, give it a name appropriately, but one that meant something, and one that was going to be more than just, fan based by, how many jumps it does or whatever, but it had a purpose behind it. And that was how we, how the veteran came to be.
It's such a great story. I always like hearing on here how we always ask how you got involved in motorsports. And I think this one is very unique because motorsports maybe isn't in your blood, Phil, just being from so many different facets. What are some of the other, if you look up the veteran website, it says you have a lot of a lot of businesses out in Denver. What are some of those businesses, and how does that all relate to the veteran's mission?
Well, I think first most is, I have several businesses. I've been blessed enough to have, several successful businesses. And because of that, I'm able to have the veteran. Anybody that tunes in here right now that owns a monster truck, there is no money in monster trucks. Okay. All the fans can love it all they want, but there is no money in monster trucks. So being able to have the businesses that are able to fund this, it wouldn't be possible without it. So those businesses help us be who we are today as the veteran itself.
The great answer, great points given there, especially. Hey, if you guys are just jumping in right now, make sure you like and share this video. We're trying to get the word out that the veteran is here. They are worthy of being amongst the best and the rest, and they have such a great cause. So make sure you like and share this video. As we continue on, and I'll shift over to Jeff now. Jeff, I see you sitting in your fire suit, so obviously you are the driver of the veteran. But I want to know a little bit about yourself. How did you get involved? What's your background in monster trucks?
Well, I was always a huge fan growing up, especially the Panda days, Barefoot, Bigfoot, all-time favorite trucks. Watched through the years, attended every Monster Jam show I could, every World Finals, every Toughest Tour. And before that, I really didn't have much to do with it. And I decided to make a social media page one day for myself so I could reach out and start messaging drivers, just to see if I could go help out. And lo and behold, soon enough, Derek Anson from Heavy Hitter got back to me, and I did my first show with him at my Colorado State Fair in 2017, and it just took off from there from that weekend on. It fit. It was a match made in heaven for me. I clicked with what I was doing with it, and from that point on, I was pretty much full-time doing monster trucks.
Yeah, and that's always a common thread. You want to get involved, you go out there, you send messages to teams, and somebody takes a bite, and you get your hands dirty. So you mentioned Derek Anson with Heavy Hitter and Demo Derby now, and such a veteran name in the sport. What were some things that Derek taught you early on that you still carry today?
Derek's incredible. That weekend was really unique too because it was he had Heavy Hitter and Basher that weekend. We didn't have a driver for Basher, so Roy Pridgeon came in from Ice Cream Man. So I got to meet him, and obviously being a huge fan, I was just trying to keep my head low and learn a lot. So at that point, I wasn't really much of a mechanic. I could barely even change oil in my own car. So it was definitely a learning curve for me, but it was something that I was so passionate about, and I had so much fun doing. It didn't ever feel like work, no matter how bad a shape the trucks were in or anything like that. It just clicked, and I really enjoyed it. And Roy and Derek were really great to me for being new. Showed me the ropes. I never felt out of place or weird for asking a question. They were just really thorough with everything. Everything he taught me today, from putting on the way I mount tires, the way I put on tires, the way tuning motors. I mean, everything I pretty much do is based off those early shows I did with Derek.
Yeah, and everybody's got to get a start. Everybody has those similar stories, and I think it's really cool how you're able to make it a lot full circle. But I know Derek wasn't the only team that you've probably been around. Who are some of the other players that you had a helping hand with from time to time?
Well, that first weekend I met Aaron Kane and Quad Chaos. And so when they came back to Denver, I asked if I'd go help them. So I helped out him and Jerry Beck over at the Loveland Budweiser event show. And then after that, I had met Craig Christensen and Michael Christensen the same weekend. So I helped Vendetta, Kamikaze, Dragon Slayer. And then after that, it was Dylan Fenley and King Crunch and his team. And then it was moved up to Stone Crusher and Hook. That was cool. Got to experience some Feld shows. And then Mike and Mikey Vaughters. So Overkill and Black Stallion, all amazing teams, all amazing trucks. I learned so much from all of them. It's really helped me become, I think, a way better mechanic and crew person, and even better driver.
And I think that's really a who's who of monster trucks. Really, I think he named everybody except for like Gravedigger at that point. But I'm sure you've been around Digger a lot of times as well. And but now you're with the Veteran, and you got the Firestone on and the whole deal. How did you find the Veteran, or did the Veteran find you? What happened there?
It was a crazy thing, unexpected. A guy that was working for Phil at that time had come down to my area in southern Colorado. Pueblo had the Veteran truck, and they were doing rides at Pueblo Motorsports Park. And I asked if I just come help tire up. I think I was just coming off working with Vaughters and them out in Arizona. And so I went out for the weekend and helped them. And they said, "Hey, we're looking for a guy with a CDL. Do you still have your CDL?" I said, "Yeah." So they got me in touch with Phil in his office, and by the end of that week, I was the full-time CDL driver at that time. That was all my title was for a while, was pulling the monster truck, which is fine.
And then that's incredible. That's another platform too. You got to drive the rig down the road to appreciate the truck, and you're not alone in that story either. So another one for Jeff. What was your experience, your first event with the Veteran? What was the event, and what was going through your mind?
Are you talking like my first event as a crew guy when I was a CDL driver, or my first event as a driver?
First as a crew guy, yeah.
First event as a crew guy was actually pretty incredible. It was at the show in Castle Rock, Colorado. It was a Veterans Memorial Run. These active military men and women were doing a 5K, I believe, in their full uniforms. And we had set up there the night before, so we tired up, real late at night. It was real cool. It was in May. And by the end of it, we set up whatever, and everyone was running by doing their 5K, and we're breaking down the truck, and we're having trouble getting the tires up on the trailer just because it was at an angle like this. And these Marines that had just finished, probably about 5 of them, you could see they were bleeding through their boots. And the first thing they did was drop their bags, come and helped us out, like put the tires on the trailer and strapped it down, and thanked us for having it there. I was like, no, thank you guys for everything you do. We wouldn't even be here in the first place. It was just really incredible seeing their sacrifice and how easy they were to help us out. It was incredible. I knew at that point this is where I wanted to be.
So what is the meaning of the Veteran to you, Jeff? Is it you see the name Veteran, you get a good idea of what it's about, but what does it mean for you to represent the Veteran?
Every one of my grandparents has served in the military. I have a grandfather who was World War II Marine. He was Purple Heart. Both of my other grandparents, my great-grandfather was the Marine. My grandfathers were both Air Force. One was in Vietnam. And when he came back, he only as he's gotten older been able to open up and talk about his experiences, and they were horrible. And when he came back, they were vilified for what they were forced to go do, and there wasn't many outlets for them. So it was really important to me to stay on this team because I felt like it was a symbol for them. I had so many people be like, well, thank you for having this truck. It really feels like we have an outreach with it. We have a way to contact people. People know about us, so it was weird because more people were thanking us for the truck than we were. I could ever imagine. It was such a new experience coming from just other monster trucks. It's a whole other realm. So for me, it was extremely important to represent my grandfathers really well, and a lot of good friends in my past job at the prisons were all veterans too. So just really wanted to represent them well and give them something to give back to.
I asked a similar question, Jeff. I'll ask it for you now, Phil. Your first event with the truck, I was probably not the same event as Jeff's. What was that first event, and what was that experience like for you?
I can't recall the very first event, but I know that we struggled really early on. There's a lot of good monster trucks that are very well known. We are still the only monster truck in Colorado, and we were doing local events. I think some of our early ones were just simple displays in front of somebody's business. But it did not take very long at all before people were stopping and asking who we were, and really, becoming, I would say, early on fans. And that was really cool. It meant a lot to us. And like Jeff said, we've had military people. I've had military come and tell us their story. I've had them cry, grown men cry and tell us while they're telling their stories. And it's very powerful. It's very moving, to see that and know that that's something that you've put forth that they're really connecting well with.
Yeah, and it's such a unique vehicle, literally to display that message. And this is a great platform to hear those stories that maybe you just assume but you really don't know until you hear everything fully told. And I know one of the great platforms you have on the truck is the Ride of Honor. Why don't you explain to us what the Ride of Honor is on the veteran truck?
Right. Well, after a few of those stories from people, I thought, wow, this really needs to get, this message needs to get out, and people need to really be able to be connecting with these stories. So we created what's called the Ride of Honor. We're trying to work it out where it can all happen. COVID happened right in the midst of trying to get traction on this. But basically, we've put plaque boards on each side of the transfer case on the truck. And there's about, I think, 32 on each side.
Yes.
32 placards where we actually allow through our website. You can, as a veteran or a family member of a veteran that has permission, because some of these stories are private, their information's private. We need to make sure that they have the permission to release these types of stories. But once they submit them, then if they get vetted and approved through that, then their name, their name goes on this placard, their rank, their name, this branch of service that they were in. And then we also create their story on our website. And then it's cataloged by each year. So there would be 64 of them on the page for, let's say, year 2021, if we were able to get that kicked off. There would be 64 stories on there with a photo and a story. And then at the end of that year, then those placards come off. They get put onto a miniature plaque, if you would. And then they're given to either the survivor of that military person or the military person themselves. They have to have been either wounded or deceased in combat or wartime to be able to be on this plaque. And for us, that's great. So for one whole year, their names are on that truck and they travel with us, and we consider that and its name the Ride of Honor.
It's such an incredible program, such a unique idea to present, and I really hope it gets a lot of legs. But you guys do give a lot. The veteran truck is very special. Who are some of the charitable organizations or groups that benefits from the veteran going out to displays and events?
We do 3 at a time is about what we do. I mean, there's no secret. Every time that we would roll into town, people would always come to us and tell us about some charity that they have or an organization that they're with. And if I could, I would split it out to everybody, because most of the time there just wasn't anyone that we just looked at and said, that's ridiculous. Right. But what we did is we would go through and vet down to about 3 causes that we thought could benefit. And then we'd rotate them out on a case of about annually or biannually. We'd rotate them out. I think right now we have Hard Luck Garage out of Oklahoma and a couple others that are on there. And then we take a percentage of our proceeds that we earn, which, past year with COVID and being, in storage and stuff, it's not gotten anything, but we give a percentage of those proceeds back to those groups. And hopefully they're successful too and can use our donations. And all of them have some sort of military connection. So like the Hard Luck Garage in Oklahoma, he repairs cars for free for people. He's a veteran, ex-veteran, and goes around and repairs the cars for free for people that otherwise can't afford it. So those donations help him. We've got Napa Auto Parts, one of our major sponsors, involved. And we co-op together with Napa, and we're able to get him, a lift to lift cars in his garage and some other donations. He now has the ability to buy the parts from Napa directly at cost. So, Napa's been a great contributor for those. So we're able to see it go beyond just our donations, but connecting some of those charities as well into expanding and becoming, larger in themselves as well.
And then another thing I know you guys do is with your merchandise. What's the breakdown when you guys are selling merchandise at the events?
Well, it differs. I mean, our goal is 10 to 15% of everything we sell. Sometimes the quantities of what we buy, especially if we're test marketing the merchandise, we want to see if it's even going to move, then that percentage could be less. But generally, I think we're right on target. About 10 or 15% of our merchandise sales goes back to those causes. So, if we made $1,000 at one event, then we're going to take 15% of that, and it's going to go back to one of those 3 causes. And the different thing that we do is that on our website, we have full transparency. So every event that we do, we put our earned amount of income that we've made off of that show and what the percentage of profits are that went back to those charities, fully transparent. And I don't know of a lot of people that do that. So there's no question in the method and where these funds go.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to really, point that out, that you guys aren't just a logo on the side of a truck, that there really is more purpose, where it counts than just, projecting a name on a truck, which is super cool. And, we're going to talk a little bit more about the truck, so I'll shift back over to Jeff. This truck is dual purpose. A lot of times I see clips, it's a ride truck. And then there's other clips where it's just on display or it's crushing a car. So what's the transformation process from making it to a display truck to a ride truck or to whichever event has those needs?
I'll tell you, when I first started changing it from a ride truck to a race truck took some time. It was me, a jack, and a block of wood to try to get those seats out. Now I've been blessed with so many crew people and so many volunteers. We can convert the truck in less than an hour when needed.
Yeah, and that's such a great move. And you're talking about the crew. I know it's not just you two. There's a whole team of people out there. I know Big Guy's crew chief Tony Martinez. Why don't you talk to me about the team, Jeff? Who are some of the other people that helped put this together?
Tony Martinez has been with me since the day I brought it home. He's great. He has a background in mega trucks. He builds mud trucks for fun. He likes to go out on weekends and just destroy his equipment like no other. So no one I trust more to put mine back together than Tony. He really hardworking, very thorough guy. Strong as an ox. He can throw those tires around like you wouldn't believe. But he has when he's not doing this, he's got a full-time job. But I tell you, I call him anytime I got a problem with the truck, and he takes off and comes right down and helps me get everything done to it. So when we got it, we went through everything, went through the hub, went through the transfer case, changed a lot of stuff out, and he had pointed out some things that he would like to do to it. And so we allowed him to change it over and stuff, and it definitely made the truck a lot tougher. That was the first time I've actually crushed cars with this new setup, and it felt a lot sturdier than it did before. Yeah,
so that's another good point too. From the events, I mean, this isn't an active race truck. Is there a lot of test and tuning from just doing, the car crushes to the displays? I mean, what's the kind of maintenance on this truck for maybe somebody that only knows maintenance on a race truck or just pulling it into an event and taking it home?
Well, none of us really exactly know when that truck was built, but it's definitely an older style truck. So when it came over, if you look at the original pictures of it, it didn't have the shocks, it didn't have the sway bars, it didn't have the drive shaft cages, it didn't even have a straight bar on it. Even the roll cage itself was twisted. So through the years, it's really amazing what everyone has done to make that truck extremely safe. It's pretty much identical to a race truck other than the motor placement and the size of the motor. Everything else on there has been changed over by the veteran team or Concussion Motorsports over the last few years. It's really incredible from where it came from. It was really hard to drive at first. With the way it was set up, it had real small shocks on it, not a sway bar on it. And how it drives now, it drives just like a race truck. It rides just like a race truck, I should say. It's incredible. I didn't even feel the cars when I went over them this weekend at all.
Yeah, so I'll pivot right to that this weekend event. I don't know how active you guys have been the beginning of the year here, but you did a car crush just last weekend. To talk to us about this event.
So my buddy Luke Hausman owns that shop. It's called Hausman's Auto Body and Paint, and his car club called Street Scene. And him and the ladies featured there in that picture with me, they worked there for him, and them and all their friends came out and decided to help me. I really wanted to do something. I'm coming off of surgery. I'm getting really antsy. I really want to get back behind the wheel. I wanted to do something. So I asked Phil if it was all right to take the truck out. He goes, yeah. He's like, just want to make sure everyone knows it's a volunteer basis, whatever. So when you get told that, you never know who's going to show up. You see so many people that they only care about the money. They only care about the recognition. There's a picture on my Facebook. There's about 17 people in the bed of that truck. And that was, I didn't touch a thing. I wasn't allowed to touch nothing still. Even though I got cleared, they still wouldn't let me touch an impact, a tire, a lug nut. They told me to just sit down and relax, which is really hard for me to do. But they really took care of me, and it was a great turnout. We only expected, we put it together in 3 days, only expected 50 people. But Lacey and her team at the shop, they did it in 3 days and ended up having over 300 people. And it was really incredible. And so many classic cars and muscle cars ended up showing up. And the support was huge. And again, the people that showed up that had stories about their grandfather serving and their father serving, wishing they could see something like this, it gets me every time. You think by now I'd be immune to it, but I tear up every time. Their stories are incredible. And I'm just really appreciative these people come out and are willing to share those stories with us.
And that's a great point too. And I like how we get to share a little bit of that story here tonight. There's a lot of people watching right now, so make sure you do like and share this video so more people can jump in and hear Jeff and Phil tell the story about the veteran. And there's a lot of great stories in here, a lot of thank yous for your service to Phil. And I know there's a proud of your veteran son from Fred Wilson. So he's in the chat here too, and a lot of other great people giving a lot of thanks. So we'll move on here to where we at here. All right, so a lot of events. You guys got a lot of events going on and a lot of projects. And I'll have Jeff answer it as much as easy as he can because I'm sure he was at a lot of them. Looking at the veteran in the monster truck industry, you guys, aren't too shy of being a part of the local monster truck events. So I see, one here you guys have pulled out. I think this is the toughest monster truck tour, Jeff. What's going on here?
Well, that was a last minute deal too. That's kind of like our mantra here at the veteran team. I was actually crewing that weekend for Paul and Michael for Kamikaze and Vendetta. We had just come back from display in Colorado Springs, and I was asking, I was telling Brian Manson about the truck. I was like, man, it'd be so cool one day to bring it out. He's like, go get it. I said, really? Like it was at 3:30 that Friday. He's like, go ahead and go get it. So like a kid in the candy store, I'm flying out in the dooley-doo, get the trailer in the truck and brought it back. And he let me even set it up out front. And it was so cool how they introduced the truck like this and how it came out last with the way Scott announces is just, he brings goosebumps to your skin. Every time I hear the video, it gets me every time because they do that is an awesome tour. That's an awesome bunch of people. So we're really grateful they even let us be a part of that, especially last minute. I was beyond excited. I haven't cut a tire on that one.
Hey, anything for the intros. You're not alone. How many events have you seen, trucks go full ham and coming out and doing a hot lap? But, that's not the only local event. I know you guys do a lot over with the Kicker Monster Nationals. So here's another picture from one of those events. I see out there doing autographs, being a part of the pit party. Talk to us about being a part of the events here at the Western Complex.
Todd Hammond's awesome. Every chance I get a chance to talk to him, he's just fun guy to be around, always high energy, great personality. He includes us on everything. If there's ever a display or anything like that, he always calls us to jump in on it. That was a really unique one for us that weekend because we usually have veterans that walk out with the truck, and then when we do national anthem, and that weekend we decided it'd be awesome if they were down there with me signing autographs as well. And the reaction from that was just massive from it. And they signed so many autographs. They soaked through the checkered flag cloth, and it actually had autograph marks on my tires for about 2 weeks. I could not get them off. That's how many autographs those guys signed because they're the real heroes.
And we were actually, I think we were taken back there because, in that photo that you just put up, you can't see, but, you got Bigfoot over behind there and some of the other big names, and they had 7 or 8 people in line. And I remember they came over at one time and said, "How do you have so many people?" And we said, "Well, I guess, this is something that they want to get involved with." And again, they were all telling their stories. They were talking to the military. They were connecting. It was just great, but it was really a weird feeling to look over to the big name Bigfoot, and he's got 7 or 8 people in line. And you saw that line right there. We had at least 100 people. And I think even when they started the show off, we still had a line of people, and they had to tell them, they had to break the line off and actually allow the show to go on. So it was a pretty good feeling.
Yeah, and I think that's a great proof that you guys are, right part of the industry. It's like you weren't even competing at an event. So when you're sitting there, Jeff, doing the autographs, does that make you just, get that little itch? Like, I wish I could go out there and send this truck as part of the competition?
A few years ago, yes, but for where I'm at now and everything they represent, I'm content with what we do. I mean, I really do love it. It's incredible to hear these people's stories because it's the whole reason we do it. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't exist at all. And it's just incredible that a truck that doesn't leave the ground, that doesn't do anything crazy, doesn't do any fancy stunts, gets the outreach and support that it does. That means that we must be doing something right, and that we don't have to go out and just bombard our equipment every weekend to prove that, hey, we're here and that we're here for a purpose.
You said it best right there. You guys done a lot of other cool events. I have a cool picture here with the Colorado Rockies mascot. I mean, how involved are you guys with the community and maybe some of the local sports teams?
On occasion, they've asked us. We've done some stuff for the Avalanche, the Nuggets directly, the Rapids. So I think we're pretty connected. Anytime that they do a military or veterans game or appreciation day, we're usually on their speed dial. They call us up, and absolutely, no questions asked, we show up. Those are great organizations, and I think even the Rapids one we did last year, they allowed us to be right there at the front entrance. I think Jeff and I thought, man, that's going to be a bad mistake. And I think it kind of was because everybody had to go around our truck to get into the entrance. Meaning that we just couldn't keep kids off the tires and, climbing all over the truck and everybody asking questions. It was a lot of work, but people were really, really excited about the truck and what we did and asked a lot of questions. It was a great time. Any of those times we can connect with those sporting events, it's great.
That line was so long that we had to have our crew chief and our crew guy help sign autographs because people were not going to get into the game. It wrapped that far. I have never seen a line like that. I figured not soccer fans. I was wrong. Way wrong.
And then it's incredible to see, even no matter where you're at, you can always catch the veteran. It's always, drawn lots of attention. I'm going to read a couple comments that have been left in here. If you guys have any questions for either Jeff and or Phil, leave them in the comments. I'll be sure to bring them up at some point. Comment from one of our past guests, David Tucker, out of Pacific Northwest. He says, "Oh, that's not true. There's money in monster trucks, outgoing money." Talking about, you don't make too much in the business. So, but David knows the game. It's always great to see him. Another comment from Lee Plato. He just actually unveiled his new ride truck, Sonoma Strong, today. We debut next weekend. If you guys saw that, he says, "I work all week long on my business to be able to have our monster truck." So he knows the hustle too. You guys aren't alone there either. And then
it truly is.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah. Yep. No, I hear you. Another comment here from Christopher Allen. He's got a question. He says, "First of all, thank you for your service from son of an Air Force engineer." He says, "I see from the photos that the veteran clearly has a look of an old school truck. Do either of you know any previous or significant names the veteran used?
We've been trying to figure that out for a very long time. It was 465 the box. It was a display truck for a guy's business. And before that, I've heard mixed. So I'll let Phil get more into that.
We've heard the West Virginia Mountaineer, but we've drug that down and we don't believe it to be true. But we know that it was an active monster truck in approximately the early 90s. So there's a very good chance it at one time, raced right next to Bigfoot. So, and as you know, many of these old, heavy, steel-based frame trucks, they can't go the 20, 30 feet in the air like the new modern, caged trucks. So they get retired to ride trucks or whatever. But we've been fortunate enough to bring this one back pretty much as close to life as it could be. But we wanted to maintain the old school look in it. So, and we can talk about some differences later that you're going to debut for us about where we're going in the future with that. But to answer your question is we really don't know. We want to know.
Yeah, if anyone knows out there, please let us know.
Yeah. So, but we've done so many modifications to it. We'll find a hint. Concussion Motorsports pulled out all of our electronics last year, and we thought we saw some semblance of something we thought we could drive down and got a dead end. So we're not sure, but we are 100% sure it's not somebody's, pickup truck that they took and modified. This was actually a race truck and what we presume the early 90s.
Yeah, there was not a straight bar on that truck, so I knew it took some abuse, that's for sure.
I'm sure the community will figure it out. There's a lot of monster truck fans tuning in. So you guys can figure out what the veteran was many moons ago. Look at all the pictures on their social media page, and I'm sure you could probably get a good idea maybe where it was been before. I remember that box truck, but then before that too, it's kind of wonky keeping track of everything. Another comment here from Kirk Nagy. I'll let Jeff answer this one first, and then maybe Phil can chime in too. He wants to know, what's your favorite venue you've done an event at?
Wow, that's an incredibly hard question. I've loved them all, honestly. It's been an absolute blast. It feels like a dream I haven't woke up from. It doesn't even seem real. My all-time favorite show has got to be the Colorado State Fair, because that's where it all started for me 3 years ago in 2017 at that time. So coming back in 2020 as a driver, having driving my own truck now, it just seems so surreal how fast it happened. Like I said, none of it has sunk in yet for all the opportunity Phil has given me. It doesn't seem real all this time later. I still think I'm dreaming. So I'd have to say Colorado State Fair 2020 was definitely my all-time favorite show. It just meant a lot being there with the hometown people. The outpour was amazing. It was one of those ones they had to shut the lights off because the autograph line was just too long. They were literally kicking people off and shutting the lights off. So that was pretty cool.
Phil, do you have a favorite venue or event that you've been a part of?
It would probably be Kicker here in Denver. They gave us our first real shot at a monster truck show. They had us do the national anthem. We rode out, as Jeff mentioned, the military were walking in front of it. I believe they played Lee Greenwood and did some stuff there. And it was just really, it was great. And their announcer is phenomenal. So it all just came together. But I think because Kicker gave us, our first real, they allowed us into it. Even though this is a great community and the monster truck community is great, it's not a very, even though it's competitive, they'll help you out. Another truck will help another truck out. It's just a great industry. But to have the Kicker show actually accept us and let us in and become part of it, it actually paved our way to be, at least somebody, looked up and started paying attention to who we were. So I think that venue, that actual event was probably the one that will stick with me the most.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great. We're all one industry together. I always like to say we all play in the same sandbox. We just might play with different toys and in different parts of the sandbox. So, we're all just in it together. We're one dysfunctional family. And I know you guys have done a lot of cool events. And I know there's a couple key ones that we haven't talked about yet that I do want to pivot to. One of which I know my buddy Brian Anger was asking about. And it was really cool project you guys did with the Royal Gorge Bridge. Jeff, explain to us what went on at that bridge.
The event or up leading to how we even got there? Which one?
Yeah, we'll lead up to it. How did we get the truck to the bridge?
It was during COVID, and Phil was bored, and so was I. So he drove down to visit me because I live in Canyon City. They were letting people drive across the bridge, and as he's going across, he's calling me. I'm in the car behind him. He's like, "That'd be cool to take the monster truck across." I'm like, "Uh-huh." Didn't think much of it. And lo and behold, I had called the bridge that next week. They're like, oh, absolutely. I was like, really? They're like, oh, yeah, that'd be so cool. Like, I just did not expect that. That literally was from like a 2-second conversation, total accident, like just a spur of the moment drive on a Saturday is how that came about.
And it was rather interesting because up until COVID, I think I can't remember exactly, but at least 25 plus years that no vehicles have been allowed to cross the bridge. So I was lucky enough when I was young, I'm going to guess here, 12 years old, my father took me across the bridge, and I remembered that as a young kid. But that must have soon stopped right after that. So for 25 years, no one has been across that bridge, and for sure, not a monster truck. So we now hold the honor of that being the first monster truck. And now that COVID's subsiding, there's going to be no more driving on the bridge. So there's a good chance there'll never be another one either.
They told us the first and only monster truck to ever do it.
Yeah, there was a lot of coordination. I mean, they had to set things up. We had to do it before the park opened. They had to have, there was a lot of stuff that had to be coordinated with going across that truck. I mean, he literally only had maybe a foot on either side. And if those monster truck fans that are out there, or the drivers that are out there, these things don't track very well. So, it was all eyes on the road or the bridge rather, and getting that thing across there. So,
and it shakes. They don't tell you that part, but it shakes because Phil kept telling me, Jeff, go right. I said, I'm trying to go right, but it moves and it sways, and the way that the suspension absorbs it, it's just sending me off to the right. It was definitely really cool, but definitely a little scary.
Definitely a once in a lifetime opportunity. That's such a great honor. You guys are able to do something so special. I know another special event here takes place at Pikes Peak International Raceway every year. You go out there, and it's a lot of cool happenings going on. And every year I see you paired up. You have an old furniture or racing car parked next to the truck and doing drag racing. You saw it in our highlight video. What goes on out at Pikes Peak?
So that's not just any car. That's Martin Truex's old car that he won the championship in that has been converted with Dr. Fauci out of Florida to have paraplegic and quadriplegics able to race that car. It's the technology behind it is really amazing and incredible. I'll let Phil go into a little more, but we ended up taking 4 disabled amputee veterans out there to do burnouts in that car with hand controls.
Yeah, so the car's been converted so that, an amputee can drive that without, needing to have all of the faculties that one would have to have in order to drive such a vehicle. Really outstanding. Still fitted exactly the same motor, horsepower, everything. So really good thing. They had contacted us and asked us if we would kind of co-op with them on this. They thought it was a good fit for the program that they have, and they wanted to give the opportunity for the veterans to be involved as well.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. I mean, it's not every day you see a monster truck doing a drag race down the track there. It's always a cool sight to see, even if everybody's not going at full speed. So that's always really cool. Got a couple more comments here. Oh, go ahead. What do you got?
We won fair and square. I don't know what you mean by not going full speed.
And if you ask the owner, he put me in the corner next to the wall, so I couldn't get going very well because I was in between the wall and the inner barrier. So I'm like, oh man, I have like 3 inches on each side. So I want to make sure I didn't hit one.
Well, hey, I stand corrected. So maybe really put the pedal to the metal. Really cool to see either way. Got a couple more comments here. Another one from Kirk Nagy. He wants to know what precautions, if any, have you guys had to take with consideration to COVID-19? Are you guys really are staying active and interacting with a lot of fans and veterans? So what have you had to change in the interim because of the pandemic?
Well, unfortunately, I touched on this early on. We had to put the truck into storage. Absolutely, for the first, at least, I want to say 4 months. I think everybody on this call knows exactly what happened. This country was on complete lockdown. As it started to get, deregulated in certain areas, it was left to state, still is. And those shift quite considerably. So we've really only done a few events probably in the last calendar year. And that's unfortunate because we were just picking up our momentum. So as far as, what precautions that we've taken, is when we do have events, everybody has to wear masks. We stay socially distant, all the stuff that, that we need to do. We're very hopeful as the vaccination continues and, those that we progress a little bit further, we'll be able to
got our own veteran masks.
Yeah, we'll be able to do those events again without as many precautions. But none of us know what it's going to look like. We don't know what the footprint's going to look like going forward. We're hopeful it'll be back to some sort of normalcy, but we just take all the precautions anybody else has been taking.
Yeah, got another great comment here from one of our past guests, Rick Corcio. He says, well, first of all, he's a veteran himself, 6 years in the Navy, and he's a fellow ride truck guy as well. So really highlighting, ride trucks, they serve the other part of the monster truck experience, and they do make money. But when it's got a great theme, it's a win-win situation. So, thank you, Rick, for chiming in and for your service. What kind of considerations you guys take when you're doing the ride truck? Are you charging for the seats, and then giving that cut back to your charities? Where does that line get crossed?
Yeah, I think the majority of it, again, our profits are transparent. So yes, they do go back to the charities. All of the profits that we make go back into keeping us going with what we need to do. As I stated earlier on, there's no money in this, so it just gets put into the well to hopefully, bring it up a little bit. But it's definitely getting subsidized by the other businesses that I have. But it all goes to the charity percentages across the board. So
not only do we donate to the veterans, but also veterans ride free in that truck.
Well, absolutely love that. Great points. Another comment from Julie Wilson. She says, can we see the race helmet? I see it in the background. Can we see it up close? Man, would you look at that? Tell us about that helmet. The helmet game has become such a great pride for a lot of people, such a work of art. Tell us about, what went into making this helmet so beautiful.
Well, I think you can tell them about the top, right?
Yeah, we'll get into that. Phil, when I came on, he already had 3 or 4 pre-designed fire suits and helmets. And he's like, go through and see which one you like. And suit was this one. We didn't argue about this. But the helmet we did, because I absolutely love the Colorado flag on top. Being the only monster truck in Colorado, definitely got to represent. I think it's the only time me and him actually have ever had a disagreement on something before, because he was like, well, he liked this other design better. So again, not only am I blessed to have probably the greatest job on the planet, but the greatest boss who let me have the helmet the way I wanted to. But I think he likes it secretly, though. It came out really good.
I do like it. I just didn't want people to resonate with the fact that maybe we only cared about Colorado, So, but that's kind of where it was. But each part of every design, even our wrap on our vehicle, these have the names that are pulled from the Vietnam Memorial that are in here, the real names. Same as the back footprint on the back bed of the pickup truck. So we tried to take a little bit of impressions that hold some sort of meaning and place that in every bit of what our logo and our theme show.
Yeah, I think that's a great mission. I know a lot of people take such pride in what they put on their helmets, and I think that helmet just fits exactly what we have going on here. And I'm happy, Jeff was able to grab it and show it off, because I think we've been teasing it a little bit. You guys have dropped hints, over the last number of months. But let's talk about it a little more. I know I have a video we're going to play here. Have a lot of exciting news to share here tonight to make the veteran a lot more special and a lot more impactful in the monster truck industry. So make sure you guys do like and share this video across social media as we continue on and maybe talk about some exclusive news here. So I'm going to go ahead and play the video, and we'll go from there. Well, the veteran's already here. So what's coming, guys?
Well, we've teamed up with Concussion Motorsports out of Illinois, and a couple other builders. It's going to be a co-op build, and we're going to build a race truck. So we will no longer be in just the ride arena, but we will be a full-on race circuit truck. We've already contacted some, like Kicker, and got placement in some future events as soon as we can get the formulated schedule of exactly when the truck will be done. Because it's co-opted with a few other builders, this will be a very unique build, but with Concussion's experience, it's going to be a state-of-the-art. No other build design like this has been built, I can say that. And we're really excited for this, taking the next steps into, getting fully engaged in this arena.
Jeff, what do you think? I mean, you get the strap behind the wheel for reals. What's going on in your head?
Again, doesn't seem real. When Phil had told me, he's like, I'm ready for a race truck. He's like, let's go find one. And so I found some of you for sale. He's like, no, I want a new one. I said, okay, well, what do you want exactly? He's like, the best. Well, Concussion, after I saw Bigfoot 21, that in my opinion is just one of the greatest trucks ever built. So I reached out once again, good old Facebook, to Rich Inman. Never thought in a million years he'd ever message me back. And lo and behold, me and him became good buddies, and we talk more Motley Crue and metal songs than we do monster trucks when I'm out there hanging out. He said he's cutting us a good deal on the truck if I teach him how to play the intro to Dr. Feelgood. So he's just an awesome person to be around. Him and his dad, his Butch Hartman, his dad Ron, and his cousin Johnny, and they've all helped so much on that truck, pound away to get to that right truck to where it has needed to be for a while. Incredible people that do incredible things, and I couldn't be more grateful for them, because they work around the hour, 20 hours a day to get that thing ready to come back to do the bridge event that we did. And I was just blown away by that, because it's an older truck. You take what you can with it and just hope it works, and they made it to where it was pretty flawless.
Yeah, and you guys mentioned you're working with Concussion Motorsports and a lot of other people, but Concussion is really such a big cornerstone of what your current truck is and the future truck. How much have both of you have learned from just having Rich Inman's knowledge? I mean, Rich is a name any monster truck diehard knows very well. What's it been what has Rich's partnership meant to you guys?
Well, I think to me, it's really, number one, it's cool to get in somebody that's got a name for themselves in this industry, especially if you want to be taken serious. But, we've presented some ideas and plans to Rich, and a couple he's shaking his head at, and some he's really embraced. So I think for us, it's just knowing that whatever decision we collaborate on, it's going to be in the best hands, right? And that's what's important. Especially for safety, and also just, to know that when this thing is unveiled, it's going to be something that's going to be appreciated, all the way around, even by the fans.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff, you're a fan. You talked about how much you guys have been marking out for Rich. I mean, how much have you learned from a technical standpoint from Rich Inman?
It was night and day. I mean, it changed my entire game instantly overnight. I spent the first hour at the shop walking around. He was taking me a tour, showing me everything he has in there, from Bob's original jacket to all the fiberglass pieces. And he gave me fiberglass pieces like I was like a kid in a candy store. And then he, as we started getting into the truck and everything, he was showing me he doesn't just do things. He explains to me why they happen. He gave me a list to take home of stuff to do. Like, he was very thorough and very accurate, so to make sure that even if he wasn't around and I couldn't get there, I wouldn't fail. And that's huge. He's just a really good person, a really good guy. I mean, one day I showed up and he goes, "I don't need you here today." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He's like, "You're going to Bigfoot. I got you a tour of Bigfoot." And I was like, "What?" And Darren Snell gave me a tour of Bigfoot and took me for a ride number one and all that. Thank you to the Bigfoot guys and Darren and Rich. That was amazing. That was an awesome time. I still get goosebumps from that experience. Did not expect that day. I was all in scrubby clothes, so I thought I was going to work on the veteran.
No, hey, I mean, it's an active workshop, so Darren's in his dirty clothes too. We have the picture up on screen of you and Darren Schnell by Bigfoot One. I mean, that's any super fan's dream, and you get to be in the trenches. What, if anything, any advice has Team Bigfoot or any of the other teams have given you throughout this process?
I have taken so much from each and every one of them. At a young age, one of my greatest coaches always told me we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So I always just shut up and absorb as much as I can from these guys and ask as many questions as I can to learn. I've taken so much from each team, and I take a little bit into what we do from every one of them, and take a lot of pride in that, because someone like Bigfoot definitely doesn't have to talk to me. Someone like Darren definitely doesn't have to share his expertise or advice with me. So it meant a lot to take it out of a work day to sit there and explain to me how they do things and why they do things a certain way. And then I ended up getting his door from his SEMA truck, and then I ended up getting his wife's door off her very first test truck. So that was also pretty incredible because I know how much that meant to them. So.
And it's really weird to see the monster truck community, and that's something I didn't know existed really, that the monster truck community, for the most part, is really a tight family. I mean, Rich made that call. He went up there, but he didn't have to pull the truck out of the barn. There were people in line going into the merchandise area, and they're like, well, what's going on over there? As he's in the ride of the truck, and they take him out in the front yard. So they just go out of their way, and they do this all the time that I'm seeing, even in events and everything. And that really says a lot for the industry. I don't know, if Chase Elliott broke down, if one of the other NASCAR drivers would help him out. It's probably unlikely. So it's really a neat, interesting, environment to be a part of, and it's really kind of cool behind the scenes.
When Darren knew my name and the name of the truck, I about fell over. I couldn't believe it. I got to go for riding one, and he took me up in Bigfoot 5, and you have to ask him that story. It took me forever to get in that truck. That is a tall, scary truck. I don't care anybody. It took me a minute to get up there.
Yeah, no, I'm sure we'll probably have Darren sneak on here one of these days, or we'll catch up with him at an event. That was good. A comment by Phil there. that was where I was going to ask next. Being kind of an outsider. I know Jeff's a longtime fan. Great comments there, and 100% the truth of the monster truck industry. And another question for Jeff. It comes from our comments here from the driver of the Turbulence monster truck, John Fitzgerald. And John asks, who are you looking forward to line up against the most when you're going out there competing with the veteran?
Wow, only John, man. I'd have to say there's so many. I'd have to say he's probably one of them, because that is a guy that I call John, love you to death, man. I call him all hours of the night for the worst questions, I think, on maintenance on a monster truck. And he is always willing to give me the best advice, send me links to the equipment that I need. I mean, always in depth and great detail. So honestly, I'm going to probably have to say John. He's been probably one of the most helpful drivers, as far as I will call him at 11:30 at night, and he always gets back to me, even if he's working. He's always quickly back to me, always super nice, because like I said, I'm still not the greatest mechanic. And he's like, oh, that's not a big deal. You'll get there, and really builds up my confidence and makes me feel welcome in the community, even though, we're just the right truck and stuff. John's always treated me with the utmost respect and been super helpful. So I'm probably going to have to say Turbulence.
Okay, well, the match has been made, although I know John's on the other coast, so you guys have to meet halfway somewhere, and we'll see. And he says he's blushing, so I don't know if he'll feel that way when you guys are racing each other, but I know John's good people. He means it. Oh, man. Yeah, well, always love seeing the comments, and if you guys have any more questions for Jeff and Phil, please do leave them in here. And John wants to make the race happen, so I'm sure we'll see that down the line here. But what's the timetable for this race truck? I know that video left 2021, 2022. When can fans really expect to see some great progress with this truck?
I would say realistically, we're probably looking at 2022. When we first engaged in this idea with Rich, COVID had just started, bearing its ugly head. And that's taken a toll. And now we've since decided to bring in some additional build expertise to help combine and make this truck kind of a unique venture. So some of that pairing will take additional time as one completes one part of it for another one to take over and complete another section. So I'm going to say realistically, probably the early quarter of 2022 is probably a more realistic date, but not having my crystal ball in front of me and where everything's going, it's anybody's guess right now. But that's what we're pushing towards. That's what Rich is working towards and his team there, which we're very thankful for. But I would say realistically, that's probably a good date to hang your hat on.
Rich is doing something totally brand new with this truck, and so we're not in a hurry, because it's even incredible that he would even bless us with technology like that. And on the other side, I'm very blessed to have Wilson Extreme Sports and Phil and Wendy as bosses, because as many people know, I hurt myself in the last year pretty bad, and they're giving me time to heal up. So I have to really be thankful for that too. It's more on letting me heal and get better. So once again, thankful that I work for the best team on the planet that allows me to get to 100% before I go out there.
Yeah, it's a team effort, and it was really great to hear, the honesty, and you guys have made it this far, so it's we can wait a little bit longer for a good thing, and you guys are always working on a lot of different projects and a lot of ways to make the veteran a lot more special. I know we've been talking about tonight how you guys are very transparent with what's on your website and where the money's going, and again, now it's not just a name on the side of a truck, that it's really means something, and I know. You guys have been working on something a little bit more special to make, the veteran more prominent and more impactful with who you guys are giving back to. So, Phil, I know you had a little bit more news to share. If you want to share, where else, what's going to take the veteran to the next step?
Well, in deciding that we were going to do a race truck and still had our display ride truck, I think one of the things we struggle with the most is people really believing that we're a cause, that we stand behind our cause. It's no secret that a lot of people, as I mentioned early on in the podcast, was that some are putting a cause behind their name that 2 years ago was not even a thought. And I think people are just kind of doubting that sincerity. So for us, we're at the early stages of looking at becoming one of the very first, as we understand it, first 501(c) nonprofit monster truck team. So you can't get any more genuine than that we're not out to do this as a profit. We're out to do it as, a non-for-profit, and we stand behind our cause and bringing awareness to the veterans and all that they stand for. So like I said, we're at the early stages. There's a lot of pieces of the puzzle to put together and make that work out. Assigning board members, all kinds of stuff. So, but that's another piece of information that we are debuting on this podcast right now that nobody other than our office staff and a few others like Rich Inman are aware of.
Not even my mom knew. That's all right now.
Well, there it is out there in the Ethernet too. That is so incredible. A 501 is a huge accomplishment for any organization. I hope you guys can complete that. I've been involved with a 501 myself personally, so I know a lot of the bells and whistles that could come with creating that and adding a lot of legitimacy to what you guys are doing. I think that's a great initiative and a great next step. Personally, where will that put you, Phil, knowing that, you have this truck is going to be a race truck, a display truck, and then you're registered 501(c)(3). Where does that leave you from there? What will be through your mind when that's all accomplished, said and done?
Well, I hope it just doesn't stop there, right? I mean, I hope the whole point of this is to bring awareness. I think I read an article the other day where less than 1% of the U.S. Citizenship is enlisting in the military. I'm hoping that things like this and bringing this out and just getting people's attention will help curb those numbers. Will help people understand that, a lot of our service members, came back and they don't have the support that they need, and that in itself brings awareness. I think that's really the whole mission. If you were to ask me just, where do I see that going? I see that going away is what I hope. Is that I hope that there's no more veterans that need, assistance, and that that our country gets some pride back in re-enlisting, and our young people want to do that again. That's really what we hope this brings.
Jeff, what are your thoughts? I mean, you're going to be the guy driving this truck, and you got all these tools. You're a lifelong fan. That first event is going to be so special, but it's got so much more in between and so much more afterwards. So what does the future look like for Jeff Alire in the veteran?
It looks like nothing but green pastures and blue skies. I'm provided with the best equipment that money can buy, the best team you can have, the best owners, the best boss, the best truck builders. At that point, it's just up to me to get the job done. And Phil and I have talked about it. For us, it's not winning championships. We could care less. We ever win a race, it's about making a difference. And we truly do believe that we can be out there and make a difference one way or the other. I don't have a selfish goal with this truck at all. I don't care if I ever win anything. I just really wanted to be able to get an outreach out there. I want to have such good funding that I can take the trucks to veteran nursing homes, veteran hospitals, and set them up and provide something and give back and have, care packages for them with shirts and T-shirts and everything else that we have, and hoodies, and be able to give that to them. That's really what I want more than anything in the world, is to be able to go to these places and give back for as much as these guys have sacrificed for our country.
And that, that's again the mission of this truck and everything that stands with it. As we're winding down here, think of some other questions. You guys have done a lot of different events. I'll start with Jeff, and then Phil can answer. What has been your 100% favorite event that you guys have been a part of?
I still don't know if we can talk about the one I did. Can we?
Uh-oh. I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but you could give me an answer and I'll take it.
How would you word that?
I don't know. Again, for me, it'd be the kicker event here in Colorado again, just because that's, that was the stakeholder event that we had. So I'm hoping that, in a future podcast, we have a whole bunch of stories we could tell you and give you a very favorite one. But right now, as a display and ride truck, it's anytime that we got the opportunity to do a national anthem or bring awareness, that's really what made it important. So for us, I think all of them actually has been really great. We've done some wonky stuff out there. We went to some really small stuff, birthday parties, whatever we could do to, just keep that name alive. But for me at least, it was the kicker event again.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to talk about what my favorite one was, but definitely all of them have been fun in their own ways. The adaptive car at the PPR was definitely one of my favorites, watching these veterans who are missing limbs get out there and compete. And the guy actually won the whole thing, won the whole burnout contest with hand controls. So not just competed. It started with competing against the four of them competing against each other, and the winning veteran went on to compete in the main burnout circuit, and he won the whole event.
Yeah, and we actually had one of the veterans drive the truck as well. They got a little stint to do in the truck, and I'm not so sure how that's ever played out before in history, but that was kind of unique, and she was really excited, extremely excited to do that.
We're not sure it's ever happened, but people have told me before that's the first amputee to ever drive a monster truck. So don't know if that's true or not, but it was still pretty cool to get her up there and let her rip on it because she was not afraid at all. I think I was more afraid riding along.
Yeah, it took longer to get her in the truck and out of the truck than it did her drive, but it was smiles from ear to ear from her.
Hey, when you are allowed to talk about that event you did, Jeff, make sure you send me a message. I'll make sure we share it on the page and give it a little bit of love. So keep the veteran love
killing me.
Hey, fair enough. So I know snooping around your website too, you guys have been offering some sponsorship packages. Phil, if you want to hit on that, if somebody wants to get involved with the veteran more hands-on, how can they be a part of the team much more prominent with a sponsorship?
Right now we've given titles to sponsorships, the general level or the sergeant level, and you most certainly can log in to see those. Jeff and I and our staff has just said, anything that you want to donate or give as part of the sponsorships, is acceptable. Right now, we don't take the sponsorships internally unless they're, directed directly at the veterans. They would be split up again to our sponsorships of those charities that are listed on the website. So just so people are aware, unless they said that this needed to go to the veteran directly, that's some of the stuff that will change as we go into 501(c) in the future.
Yeah, I love just the programs and just always thinking outside the box. And I invite anybody to check out the Veterans website. I think it's veterantruck.com. They have so much great content and a lot of great backstory. They have bio descriptions on the whole team. So again, they're not hiding nothing. It's no, I'm doing an event somewhere in the middle of the woods and you don't know about it. I mean, these guys are on top of it. They're very transparent. They publish everything, which is so incredible, especially in a social media age. And obviously we're broadcasting this live right now on social media if you are watching live on Facebook. Jeff, where can anybody find the Veteran Truck on social media and keep up with what you guys have going on?
They're more than welcome to follow the Monster Truck page, the Veteran page, the Veteran Monster Truck, or even adding myself on there. I add everybody because of that reason. So anywhere you can add the truck on. We have Snapchat, we have YouTube, we have Facebook, and it's all the Veteran Monster Truck.
And if I'd say the one thing that anybody could do if there was an ask of us is to go in and buy merchandise. You'll get something, and then our charities that we have listed will get a percentage too, and then the rest of that helps us keep going with what we're doing. That would be great. It's an online page, so you can do everything right online and buy our merchandise right there. And every little bit helps. That's really, especially in our downtime right now where we're not doing events. We did run, I think, the last weekend. It did very, very well. We sold out of quite a bit of merchandise, but that would really help us. That helps a lot in continuing our mission of what we do, is really triggered to at least the merchandise right now, while the truck's not as active as we'd like it to be.
And our online services, if you buy online, it comes with a picture of the truck and it's signed, and there's stats of the truck on the back and everything. They're really cool looking.
Yeah, and for those of you that are listening, right now we get a lot of people that through the website portal are requesting us to come out and do events or a birthday party or whatever. And right now, at least through the middle of April, we're unable to commit to any of those. If you've got a young, 6-year-old, 7-year-old fan of monster trucks, swing us a message. We'll send you a kid an autographed picture of the driver, Jeff, or something, maybe a birthday card. It's something that we can do for our youngest fans to at least, get something, during this time while we're all kind of, unable to really do what we want to do. So reach out to us. We love interacting with our fans. I mean, that's absolutely what we love to do. I know I've seen it where some truck drivers, monster truck drivers, don't acknowledge their fans. And I hate to see that when I see it. That's not us. You can call us, write us, whatever you want to do, and we will absolutely. Jeff, most certainly. I think the 12th or something, he's got scheduled Zoom call with a 6-year-old boy to wish him happy birthday. So, we really try to connect and be active with our fans.
Yeah, you guys are going to have to send me one of those autograph cards. I have a massive collection. So my birthday's not till September, but I'll let it slide if you'll let it slide. But, make sure everybody checks out the Veterans website there. You can find all their merchandise. And I'm sure if they're sold out of something, they'll be right back in stock sooner rather than later. I think it's really cool. You guys have been staying super busy with everything going on right now at the time of this recording. And I'm really excited that we were able to have you on the podcast here right at really the ground level of a lot of big things. You guys have accomplished so much in the sport already, which, I mean, if you guys don't agree with that, I do. With all the incredible events you guys have been a part of. And I see those lines at those events. You guys aren't even competing with the truck, and you have these massive lines. And I know the sky's the limit, and you've teased just enough. I'm sure the fans will get so excited. And I think a lot of people that are listening to this that maybe are not familiar with the Veteran before are now familiar with the team. They know the faces, the man behind the driving seat, the man calling the shots, and the entire team putting it together. I really appreciate you guys coming on board, Jeff and Phil. Thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of this podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys keep spreading your message and doing it the right way.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hope to see you guys soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, the Veteran team, it's like I said, we've been trying to get them on here for a couple weeks and months, and finally had them on. And, there's nothing else to say. You just got if you need my explanation, you need to rewatch this episode, because Phil and Jeff hit everything on the head there. They're doing it right. Like I said, there's a lot of patriotic trucks. They've come before, they'll come again. But I think this one is doing everything right, doing it a lot different and making it a lot more impactful. And can't wait to see the Veteran continue to grow at a lot more events, and with the race truck and 501c3, it's going to be incredible. And I hope we're along the ride with it. And if you want to be along for a ride with it, make sure you buy their merchandise. Check out their social media pages and stay up to action on what they all have going on tonight. I see our past guest, Corey Clark, was also in there. He really enjoyed watching. Thanks, Corey. He says, go Army. I know Corey's a Veteran as well, so thank you, Corey. That's another episode of the Monster Truck Outlaws of the West podcast. If you're new here or you haven't done so already, make sure you like our main page. This is where everything's happening. We're posting all of our podcast episodes and all of our shout outs and all the news. So make sure you like this page. And again, this video, we keep saying it enough. We need to like this video. I need to share this video all across social media. I know Phil and Jeff are going to do it when we sign off. I need you to do it too, so everybody can hear the awesome story of the Veteran. A lot of people come back and rewatch these episodes. We want to make sure everybody can catch this really special episode, so make sure you like and share this video. If you enjoyed what you like tonight, we do this. I'm trying to do this every Friday night. We've had a couple of breaks, but we're rocking and rolling. So if you want to see some of our past episodes, we've really interviewed all walks of life, from Monster Truck Hall of Famers to the biggest stars to some of the rising stars, or even guys like the veteran. Go to our video tab, live podcast episodes. You'll see our entire library of all of our past guests. So you can check them out here on our Facebook page. And also audio only, wherever you can download podcasts like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pandora, so many others, Stitcher, and all the other platforms. Wherever you can find podcasts, there's a very good chance you'll find our podcast. Just search for Monster Truck Outlaws of the West. Wherever you're on the go, and you're at the gym, you're in the car, you're on the plane, you're going to Mars. I don't know where you're going anymore. It's 2021. You can download our podcast wherever you're at, and always follow what's going on here. And again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know I flew solo here tonight. It's a little unorthodox. It's not somebody else chirping in here. Hopefully Vince will be back here next week. If not, I'll make sure to grab somebody for whoever our guest is. So make sure you stay tuned to our Facebook page as we announce beginning of next week who will be joining us next on the Monster Truck Outlaws of the West podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you here next week.